What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Wrestling with Johners. So today's a special episode. We're going to be looking at last night's excellent NXT Takeover New York show from the Barclays Centre in New York. That was a phenomenal show, and I'm going to be covering that match by match with Matt Bayliss, who's going to be the special guest host of this episode of Wrestling with Johners. Matt's been on other episodes in the past, including he helped me cover the NXT Takeover Phoenix show from January, as well as many others that you can track down in the archives. The most recent one was the Progress Chapter 86 show from Birmingham a few weekends back. But we're going to be covering in detail the Takeover New York show in this episode. This is episode 35, so thank you very much for joining us. Before we get started with the review of Takeover New York with Matt Bayliss, don't forget to reach out to us on social media. You can find us on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is @withjohners_pod. We update that on a daily basis with news and reviews and opinions on what's happening in the wonderful world of pro wrestling. You can find us on Instagram, instagram.com/wrestlingwithjohners. You can also find us on Facebook. We've got a very active Facebook group which we update several times a day with lots of fun and interesting articles, news and opinions, and the usual banter on there. Just go onto Facebook and search Wrestling with Johners and ask to be part of that group. You can also send us an email if you wish to. You can email us wrestlingwithjohners@gmail.com if you've got any feedback about the shows or any questions you'd like to ask. And before we start this week's episode with Matt Bayliss, I'd urge you to go out and check episode 4, which was my full prediction show for WrestleMania 35. And that's an hour of me talking in depth, quite passionately about how I think WrestleMania and all of its individual matches are likely to go. So before the show of shows tomorrow night, do yourself a favour and go and check episode 34 out on there. You can find it in the archives. We are on all podcast platforms, all popular podcast platforms: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, Podbean, Stitcher, Podcast Addict, pretty much wherever you get your podcasts from. So without further ado, this is my NXT Takeover New York review with Matt Bayliss, and I hope you enjoy. Welcome back, everybody, to Wrestling with Johners, and this is the special NXT Takeover New York edition. And I've got Matt Bayliss with me. So Matt's been on Wrestling with Johners quite a few times in the past. He's helped to cover NXT Takeover Phoenix. And so welcome back to the podcast, Matt. Great to have you on board.
Yeah, cheers, John. Thanks for having me back again.
No, you're very welcome. So we got 5 excellent matches from last night's Takeover to cover. It was an excellent show. We're going to cover each match in a little bit of detail and just really get your thoughts on each match and kind of the highlights, or if there were any lowlights in your opinion. So the first match, and I think the War Raiders have kicked off a couple of NXT specials before, but the War Raiders were defending their NXT Tag Team Championships against their number one contenders and recent Dusty Cup winners Ricochet and Aleister Black. So the War Raiders got a fantastic entrance as per normal with their Viking gimmick. Rowan Hansen makes an impressive entrance in front of over 15,000 really enthusiastic fans here at the Barclays Centre in Brooklyn. It was 12 months ago in New Orleans when Ricochet made his NXT debut. He's now in the now infamous ladder match for the North American Championship to kickstart NXT Takeover New Orleans 12 months ago. And here we are. Ricochet is part of the NXT Tag Title match after winning the Dusty Classic with Aleister Black on last week's NXT. So going into this match, what were your expectations? I know we've spoken about all 4 of these wrestlers before. What's your take, first of all, on Ricochet and Aleister Black as a tag team? Now, they have been tagging quite a lot on NXT. Typically they're singles wrestlers, but we have seen them as a tandem a lot on the main roster recently, and they've actually got a SmackDown tag team title match in a 4-way with The Bar, the Usos, and Rusev and Nakamura on Sunday at WrestleMania. But what's your thoughts on these two as a tandem? And going into this match, what were your expectations, Matt?
I think they make a great team. They're definitely two sort of like singles wrestlers, but it's one of those rare occasions where they've kind of put two people together and it's really worked.
Yeah.
And they seem to really enjoy it as well, that the way they've kind of developed a bit of a tandem move set as well.
Yeah.
Even with like the entrance when Aleister Black springs into the ring and then sort of like Ricochet pops up behind him. And that kind of like comes out through the match as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the spot where that Ricochet and Black just like dropped down and sat on the
I was just about to say that was a fun spot, and Ricochet kind of was looking around and smiling to himself to say, yeah, we're a team, this really worked, and that was quite a funny spot, to be honest with you, quite amusing I found. But carry on.
It was, it was a hard one to predict because obviously the War Raiders haven't really had any like significant defense of the titles yet, so I kind of thought it was unlikely they'd drop the belts.
Yeah.
But then obviously like the push that Ricochet and Black have been having in the last few weeks, and I think they're, I'm pretty sure no one else has ever had shots at the Raw titles, the NXT titles, and the SmackDown titles all in 7 days. So so it was interesting to see what sort of like what went down with it and sort of like which way they went with it, but fully expected a fantastic match, and it definitely didn't disappoint.
Most definitely, yeah. So a couple of the key spots in the match, which I'll go through now. There was one spot where Hansen did repeated avalanches on opposite corners onto both Ricochet and Black until Ricochet catches Hansen in midair, dumping him with a slam to the canvas. A Black hits an impressive German suplex on Rowe for a close near fall. Hansen takes the place of Will Ospreay as he and Ricochet exchange kind of handspring elbows and all sorts of acrobatics in the ring, which I found really entertaining, considering Hansen is twice the size of Will Ospreay, but was an ideal replacement there in that exchange with Ricochet. Then the Raiders go for a double pin on Ricochet from a springboard clothesline, only to be broken up by a massive double stomp from Aleister Black from the top rope. Ricochet nails a handspring tiger drop, only for Hansen to come off the top turnbuckle with a senton onto everybody else on the outside. The match nearly ends after Black hits a Black Mass, followed by a shooting star press from Ricochet, only to be broken up by Hansen, bundling Aleister Black into his partner to break up the pinfall attempt. Ricochet misses a 6:30, and the match does eventually end on the 19-minute mark with their fall-out double team maneuver for the War Raiders, with Hansen coming off the top rope onto Ricochet with his big leg drop whilst being held up in midair by Rowe. Ricochet lands quite high on the back of his neck. Actually, it looked a little bit awkward, the landing there, but the War Raiders get the pinfall after 19 minutes and a really solid opener. So I thought that this was a great match to kick it off, and the fans seem to be quite up for this match. And I'm quite pleased that the War Raiders won. They definitely seem to be proving themselves more and more every time we see them in a ring, especially every time we see them in a takeover special like this. I think they are kind of getting more and more fan support each time they're in a match, because they can work for two big guys, especially Hansen, the way he kind of moves around the ring and some of the acrobatics, and Rowe is, obviously the muscle of the team. But a really good opener. And what were your thoughts on this match? Like I say, a good win for the War Raiders here. And Ricochet and Black, once again, they didn't win, but they did perform excellently as a team. And I felt that both teams gelled really well in this match, some good chemistry.
Yeah, definitely. It's I think from start to finish, it was it was a really exciting match. There was a lot of variety in it as well. No team sort of like got the upper hand for any like large length of time. There's a lot of interaction between all four guys, a lot of different things, and things that you wouldn't normally expect to see as well. And I really like the War Raiders as a team as well. Like even with the finish, I noticed in one of their other matches a few weeks ago as well that they pay attention to who is the legal man. So like the right man gets the pin. So with the finish of the match last night, they sort of like they swap positions because to make sure the legal man got the pin. And I think that's just kind of like testament to how good they are as a tag team, and that they're legitimate. Like within the business as well. So it's like little things like that are really impressive. I think after the match as well, so like the show of respect and the crowd reaction to Ricochet and Black as well was it's a phenomenal start to an event.
Yeah, and I think that marked quite possibly the last match, or certainly the last match for the foreseeable future for Aleister Black and Ricochet in an NXT arena. And obviously they've been on the, a regular fixture, a permanent fixture on the main roster on both Raw and SmackDown, to give them credit for the last couple of months now. And of course, they've got their SmackDown tag team title match against the Usos, Rusev and Nakamura, and the Bar on Sunday. That will be when that match first popped up on WWE.com. I had to shout about it. I had to share it because you got 4 quite exciting teams there. I know that Nakamura and Rusev haven't had a great 12 months since WrestleMania last year, to be honest with you. But I think 4 very good teams, 4 very capable teams. It could be an excellent match on Sunday, and I'm really happy to see that Black and Ricochet, although they're not shining yet as individual stars on the main roster, they're definitely being given a fantastic push as a tag team, and they're being allowed to shine as a tag team on the main roster as well. So I'm expecting that match on Sunday to be fantastic. But let's move on to the second match, which is for the NXT North American Championship. Matt Riddle versus the champion Velveteen Dream. So this was another fun match. Dream makes his entrance as the Statue of Liberty here, and being carried to the ring, kind of a la Macho King Randy Savage style. So I really liked this entrance from Dream, and I don't think he ever disappoints with his entrance or his gear. A fantastic entertainer, even before the bell starts. Dream gets caught from an attempted flying double axe handle to be turned over with a German suplex on the mats on the outside. So kind of an early exchange on the outside of the ring there. Riddle hits a Broton and follows up with a soccer kick for an early 2 count in the first couple of minutes of the match. Then gets a ripcord knee strike, followed by a GTS and a bridging German suplex for a 2 count for Matt Riddle. So plenty of fast-paced action in the first few minutes. Dream does his best Hulk Hogan impression with a big boot, followed by another double axe handle from the top turnbuckle to the outside. Dream gets a 2 count from that exchange. Riddle applies an ankle lock, but Dream is able to escape to hit his DDT and Dream Valley driver, but Dream comes off the top rope. As he comes off the top rope, Riddle applies his bro mission. Riddle then hits a fantastic high-angle German suplex while standing on the second rope, followed by a pinpoint moonsault for a 2 count there. So fantastic accuracy from that moonsault. Riddle applies the bro mission for the second time in the match, but Riddle releases the body scissors, allowing Velveteen Dream to roll backwards to pin Riddle's shoulders to the mat for a surprising 3 counts to retain the North American Championship. So a good match. I felt that these two had some good chemistry in the match. I felt that the crowd were a little bit quiet, but I really enjoyed this match from the entrances through to the surprising way that it ended. And I felt that both wrestlers came across really well in this. Matt Riddle appeared to have a lot of the offense in this match, with the Velveteen Dream having to come from underneath. But he certainly did that, and he pinned Matt Riddle's shoulders to the mat whilst he was in the bro mission. A good match. What did you think of this one then, Matt?
Yeah, it was really good. It started off quite slow, and there's a bit of back and forth at the start with I think Velveteen Dream doing the crane kick pose.
Yeah.
Then there's quite a bit. I think Matt Riddle tried to go for a fist bump to start with, and Velveteen Dream turned it down. Then he got hit a few times, and then kind of came begging back for the fist bump. So yeah, it was quite a lot of fun to start with, and then it got quite hard hitting. Like you say, like Matt Riddle had the majority of the offense. There's the one kick, and I felt it myself. It looked and sounded so hard. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. It kind of like started off slowly and kind of built up quite a lot of pace. I think the spot with Velveteen Dream hulking up as well was quite good. And
I did enjoy that. Yeah.
So I did half expect maybe like a heel turn from one of them, right? Because I don't think he neither of them was particularly heelish. But there were times where I thought that maybe like someone was gonna flip and everything. But I really enjoyed the match. And based on what happened in the match, it was quite a surprising outcome. But I'm glad that Dream did retain, and then just see where they go from there.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are saying it's probably a bit too soon for Velveteen Dream to be dropping the title. I think he's only had maybe one defense in the past, but I still think he's still red hot as a character and as a wrestler. A lot of people are half expecting him to go up onto the main roster this year, and I think a lot of people were kind of expecting that if he did drop the belt to Riddle last night, that he'd be main roster bound directly after WrestleMania. That doesn't appear to be the case. I personally think that Matt Riddle could be called up onto the main roster before the Velveteen Dream is, especially with the Fox deal coming in about October. And with them wanting the SmackDown Live presentation to be more sports-based and more kind of reality-based instead of gimmick or storyline-driven, and it'd still be backstage storylines and gimmicks, of course. But Matt Riddle could be kind of a shoe-in for SmackDown or something like that when Fox come on board and they wanted a bit more of a sports-based presentation. But no, I absolutely love this match, to be honest with you. And it was nice to see Matt Riddle up against somebody different, somebody with a style such as the Velveteen Dream. We've been so used to seeing him in takeovers against Cassius Ohno, and we haven't really seen him up against anybody else really, apart from that NXT TV show against Drew Gulak a few weeks back. But yeah, really enjoyed this match, and I felt that the Velveteen Dream was a worthy winner and probably the right result on the night, to be honest with you. There could be a rematch down the line for these two. I do see championship gold around Matt Riddle's waist fairly soon. I wouldn't be surprised to see him, possibly have a match in the not too distant future for the NXT Championship. But an exciting future for both of these wrestlers and a good match last night. But let's move on to kind of the match that both me and you were probably looking forward to most going into this, and that was for the WWE United Kingdom Championship with champion Pete Dunne going up against the ring general Walter. I think the anticipation for this match was really palatable going into it. A lot of people very, very excited. I think the NXT UK weekly TV show is really hot product at the moment. Pete Dunne has been UK champion for 685 days, and Walter has just come across as this unstoppable monster, certainly since he's appeared on NXT UK TV. We all know what he's capable of on the indies, certainly with his appearances at Progress and OTT and WXW. We all knew of his reputation. We all know how hard-hitting he is. And for a big guy, he's very agile as well. But it's them chops you've got to watch out for. But one thing that I did celebrate before the match even started was Percy Watson got replaced by Vic Joseph for this match, which I was very happy about because Vic Joseph is an excellent commentator and usually commentates alongside Nigel McGuinness on the NXT UK TV shows. So I was happy to have Vic Joseph there kind of commentate on this match. But Walter takes kind of first blood or first strike. He gets his first chop in, closely followed by his second chop, knocking Pete Dunne down to the canvas after only 4 minutes. Walter bends Dunne across the top turnbuckle with a foot on Dunne's chin. Walter then follows this up with a back slam onto the edge of the ring apron on the outside. Dunne goes for some early joint manipulation on the fingers of the big Austrian, only to be met with a big boot, taking the United Kingdom champion off the ring apron to the floor on the outside. Dunne gets a 2 count from a sitting power bomb on the 10-minute mark, and then Dunne strikes with a double foot stomp to the chest of Walter on the outside from the top turnbuckle. Dunne then kicked out of a huge power bomb from Walter. Walter gets a 2 count from a top rope avalanche sleeper suplex on Dunne. That was an awesome spot, that one. Dunne then continues to snap Walter's fingers, almost causing the big man to tap out at one point. Walter then kicked out of the bitter end on the 22-minute mark. Both the champion and the challenger traded blows before Walter knocked Dunne to the canvas before getting caught upon the top turnbuckle by Walter for a super power bomb, which was absolutely fantastic. Must have hurt like hell. Walter then goes back to the top rope with a huge splash from the top turnbuckle, covers Pete Dunne and wins the match after 26 minutes. And we have a new United Kingdom champion. So Walter, I think both guys really put the beating on one another here. Dunne was really concentrating on the joint manipulation and the finger snapping. Walter was going for all of his big moves, including the chops and the drop kicks. And we actually saw him pull out a couple of moves that we've not seen him do before, especially this top rope splash which kind of caused or led to the pinfall victory. So we have a new champion, Matt, and a fantastic match. What were your thoughts on this one?
Oh, it was amazing. It sort of lived up to and exceeded expectations. It was absolutely brutal at times.
Yeah.
The double stomp from Pete to the outside. There's, if anyone still tries to tell you that wrestling's fake, it's all a show. Just get them to watch that and then try and get them to work out how that couldn't hurt.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, I was out of my seat 2 or 3 times at home watching it. So, yeah, it was a fantastic match. I'm gutted that Pete lost the title, but hopefully that's a gateway to move on to the next things. On the pre-show on the network, when they were talking about Pete's reign, names that they were throwing around, for in terms of like who his reign is similar to, you got like Hogan, Bruno Sammartino, so the fact that he's being mentioned alongside those guys, I can't wait to see what's next for him.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, this match was pretty special, to be honest with you. I mean, we'll talk at the towards the end of this episode as to what our favourite match of the night was, but this is definitely up there as far as I'm concerned. And I think what made it really special for me, and I think this is typical of a lot of Pete Dunne matches, but certainly being in there with somebody like Walter, is it was so hard hitting. There was a lot of really kind of tough exchanges, like you say, the double foot stomp or the chops, all the kicks and all the finger joint manipulation, and that super power bomb by Walter. Crikey, that would have broken any normal man in half. And I don't know how Pete Dunne managed to kind of carry on, but an absolutely amazing match. And yeah, 685 days, nearly 2 years. I know that he was congratulated backstage after the match by Triple H and a lot of the other wrestlers. I think Pete Dunne has done all he can to elevate the NXT UK brand and the NXT UK show. I know that on the WWE.com exclusive, he did say that he wants a rematch. There's some speculation as to whether that'll be one-on-one or possibly the Ring Camp stable versus British Strong Style, which will be a fantastic match. We may well see that on a future takeover. Who knows? But like you say, I do think he's achieved pretty much as he can, whether it be on the NXT UK or the NXT brands, because he has achieved on kind of both TV shows on both products. So yeah, I would love to see him pop up as a surprise on Monday. We know that the Raw after Mania is always kind of the big special. It's kind of the most fun and the best Monday Night Raw of the year, usually, with lots of debuts and special appearances. And I think Pete Dunne has certainly made a good name for himself amongst the management team in the WWE. Certainly high, Triple H is very high on him, and of course he was in the Royal Rumble this year as well. So Vince McMahon must like a thing or two about Pete Dunne as well. So let's hope so. But if he's not going up onto the main roster soon, he certainly deserves to. This year most definitely. But a cracking match, and thank you very much, Pete Dunne. I thought that an amazing reign. And he's been a fantastic champion. And every match that we've seen him in as United Kingdom champion has been absolutely stellar. From his matches with Joe Coffey, Jordan Devlin, Wolfgang, through to this match here. The match he had with Tyler Bate back in 2017 when he first won the championship was match of the year. He just brings star quality and fantastic matches every time you see him on TV. So I think pound for pound he's probably one of the best wrestlers in the world at the moment. And and like I say, we were lucky enough to see him at the Progress show a few weeks back. Best of luck to Pete Dunne with whatever the future holds. Right, looking at the next match, which is the NXT Women's Championship match, we got champion Shayna Baszler defending her championship in a 4-way against Kairi Sane, former NXT Women's Champion, of course, Bianca Belair and Io Shirai. So Even to start this match, a super quick action with Belair blowing a kiss to Kairi Sane. We saw a brief exchange between the two Sky Pirates, which was quite exciting for a second there, because both of these two typical baby faces, they've only ever really been on screen as kind of tag partners. To see them kind of be in a bit of confrontation was quite exciting there. Io hits a beautiful springboard drop kick on Belair before nailing a pair of knees in the corner. There's a Tower of Doom spot with Io and Sane performing a double powerbomb superplex onto Baszler and Belair. Belair press slams Kairi Sane over the top rope onto Baszler and Shirai on the outside. Belair gets a 2 count from a KOD, only to have her pin broken up by Io Shirai. Sane breaks up a pinfall attempt from Io off of a moonsault. Io breaks up a pinfall attempt from Kairi Sane, this time from her insane elbow. Belair executes a double KOD on both Io Shirai and Kairi Sane, which was an awesome spot. She went to cover she went to cover Kairi Sane, but Shayna Baszler comes over with a running knee before slapping on a Karafuda clutch, and Belair tapped out of the Karafuda clutch, and Shayna Baszler won the match via submission after 16 minutes. So with all 4 competitors, it was kind of non-stop action from the very first bell. Really good match. I thought that the kind of bits where Io Shirai and Kairi Sane were going at it in the ring was quite exciting. But a fantastic match. I don't think a lot of people were expecting Shayna Baszler to win this match, similar to some of the previous matches that we've spoken about. Half expecting Shayna Baszler to appear on the main roster anytime soon, especially with her being kind of a permanent fixture on the NXT brand for the last couple of years now. But she comes out having won the match, and this is her second kind of WrestleMania weekend NXT back-to-back years where she's come out the victor. This match then, the match between these 4 women. What did you enjoy about this match then?
I think it was great from start to finish. I had my doubts about it because sometimes fatal 4-way matches don't always pan out that well, but yeah, I think it was really well put together. All 4 women, got to show off what they can do. There's a lot of interaction between everyone at different times. Everything was a lot of fantastic spots. Really fun match to watch, really, and it could have gone in any direction, really. So so it was another one that was really fun and sort of really interesting throughout.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I think the unexpected finish, I say unexpected, like I say, a lot of people were expecting Shayna Baszler to drop the belt so that she could go up onto the main roster, or at least expecting, somebody else to have their day in the sun with the championship. But to have Shayna Baszler go over in this match was slightly unexpected, but definitely very welcome. And she is proving a very, very credible champion. This is, of course, her second NXT Women's Championship run. Let's have a look at the main event. So this was kind of happens because of the Tommaso Ciampa neck injury or neck surgery, which is going to be keeping him out of action for at least 12 months. We'll have to see what the kind of long-term prognosis of this neck surgery is. We'll talk more about Tommaso Ciampa a bit later, I'm sure. But there was obviously the 5-way match a few weeks ago on NXT TV, where the winner of that, Adam Cole, was obviously going to face Johnny Gargano, who was already penciled in for a championship match against Tommaso Ciampa for NXT Takeover New York. So Johnny comes out first with his ring gear, very much in the style of Iron Man, and Cole is kind of sent to the ring on his entrance by his kind of undisputed buddies. So there's a double crossbody spot here from both competitors after 9 minutes, which must have kind of winded the hell out of both of them. Johnny gets an early 2 count from a slingshot spear. Adam Cole gets the first fall of the match. So remember, this is a 2 out of 3 falls match for the NXT Championship. And Adam Cole gets the first fall after 13 minutes with his last shot running knee to the back of the head of Johnny Gargano. Gargano explodes with a spear off the apron, followed by a senton off the ring apron once again to the floor onto Adam Cole. So the match spilling onto the outside here. Gargano gets a strong 2 count from an avalanche air raid crash. Adam Cole runs Gargano into 2 successive ring posts, but Gargano is quickly able to recover to get the second fall with a Gargano escape submission, making it 1 fall apiece. So after the first 2 falls, kind of where's your excitement level? Where's your head at regarding where the match might go? I know you had to kind of rewatch this match because of technical difficulties, but kind of going into the third fall, what's your kind of thoughts on this match so far then, Matt?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think both of them were sort of pulling out all the stops, and again, like with every match on this card, it could have gone either way, and I'm pretty sure people would have been happy either way as well. So but it was good. The crowd started to pick up again towards sort of like around the second fall.
Yeah.
And it was sort of like really gripping. Unfortunately, I did nod off at that point. So
I was trying to cover for you there, Matt. I said technical difficulties, but so let's have a look at the third and final fall. Obviously, it's one fall apiece going into the final fall. So the third fall started to pick up the pace. And the fans started to wake up a little bit. They were quiet at the beginning of the match, but they did start to get more and more into the match as the match kind of got into the 20+ minute mark here. Cole gets a close near fall from a straight jacket German suplex, which is a move you don't see every day, but quite an impressive German suplex there. There's a wicked reverse spiked Rana followed by a super kick, sending Cole to the outside before Gargano could capitalise. So Cole rolls out of the ring before Gargano could make the cover there. Cole drives Gargano into the edge of the ring apron with a wheelbarrow suplex, and that definitely looked a painful move there. Cole gets a very close near fall from a springboard Panama Sunrise, and that definitely woke the crowd up. That was an awesome spot. Cole nails Johnny Gargano with Ciampa's finisher, the fairy tale ending, on the Spanish announcers table, which Johnny just beat the 10 count there. Just beat the referee's 10 count there from being counted out. So that was a really close fall where Adam Cole very nearly won the final fall via count out. Gargano put Cole into the Gargano escape, only for the Undisputed Era, so the other three members to get involved just as Cole taps, but with the referee being distracted on the other side of the ring. O'Reilly and Fish hit their tag finisher on, but Cole still couldn't get the 3 counts as Johnny Gargano kicks out there. Adam Cole gets a very close near fall after 2 super kicks and a running knee, and that was really, really close. But on the 38-minute mark, Johnny Gargano is able to apply the Gargano escape once again for the win, and we have a brand new NXT champion. So lots going on in that third fall with the Undisputed Era coming out, the referee getting distracted, Adam Cole tapping, but the referee not being present to see the kind of tap out there. But Johnny Gargano on the second Gargano escape did manage to make Adam Cole tap out, and he's the first ever Triple Crown champion of NXT, and this is his first ever NXT Championship. A fantastic match. The third fall was definitely one to watch, and a fantastic match between these two, Adam Cole and Johnny Gargano. So what did you think of the match as a whole in that third fall? Did you enjoy it as much as I did?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for the third fall it did really pick up, and then they just went to town with everything. Some of the spots, with the spot with the announce table, the announce table nearly won the third fall, I think.
Yeah.
Because there was no giving that whatsoever. So, but it was good, and I think sort of like there was the expected interference from the Undisputed Era. So it got a bit wild and just accelerated, more and more towards the end, and then the finish was really good with Cole almost getting to the ropes and Gargano managing to roll him back into the middle of the ring without breaking the hold, and then picking up the victory from there. So it was a fantastic way to kind of cap off the show.
It really was. It really, really was. And I think Johnny Gargano is a very deserving NXT champion. Wasn't kind of the match we were kind of hoping for. We were always expecting Johnny Gargano to face Tommaso Ciampa at NXT New York for the NXT Championship. That hasn't happened for reasons I explained earlier on. But a brilliant match between these two. I'd love to see them go at it again. I think there does need to be a rematch between these two. Johnny Wrestling becomes Johnny Takeover, becomes Johnny Champion. So well done, Johnny Gargano there. But I think one of the highlights of the whole show was when obviously his wife Candice LeRae comes into the ring to congratulate her husband, and then they go up onto the ramp. And then who should kind of walk out behind Candice LeRae and Johnny Gargano but Tommaso Ciampa. Gargano turns around and embraces Tommaso Ciampa, and the three of them kind of have a hug on the ramp, and it does kind of bookend that storyline, not the way we were kind of expecting with the 2-year-long feud that they'd had, but a really nice way to finish off the show, and kind of great to see Ciampa kind of on the ramp there congratulating his kind of buddy slash kind of long-time rival, but they've obviously got a relationship there. They've obviously got a deep friendship. So yeah, a brilliant takeover. Some people are saying it's one of the best, if not the best, takeovers. I think that we say that every time we have a takeover, to be honest with you, because every single one seems to surpass the quality of the one before it. But I think, one thing that's for certain, every single takeover is just phenomenal. And I think their main roster colleagues on Sunday has got a lot to follow, to be honest with you. I think that they will. There are some matches I'm really, really looking forward to that could kind of match some of the matches we saw on Friday night at Takeover, but a fantastic show overall. What was your kind of final take on NXT Takeover before we say goodbye, Matt?
Yeah, I think I kind of agree with the masses. Really, that it's probably one of the best single shows in a long, long time, if not the best takeover ever.
Yeah.
But compared to most pay-per-views the last few years, there wasn't a bad match on it. There was no filler. There was nothing to, there wasn't time for a pee break, basically. So
yeah, it was wall-to-wall action. Yeah,
kept going and going and going. Every single match on its own right was amazing and could easily have main evented the show as well.
Yeah. So if I were to put you on the spot, what was your favourite match of the evening?
Pete against Walter, just purely because of Pete himself, and then it was. The brutality of some of it, and I was definitely jumping out of my seat at times. So, so that was definitely the highlight for me.
Yeah, I think that was the highlight for me as well, and I'm definitely going to go back and watch this again this afternoon. But Matt, I just want to thank you for jumping on the pod once again. I really appreciate it. We know you're very busy, but thank you for giving us your time this afternoon. I'm glad that you enjoyed NXT Takeover, and we'd love to have you back on Wrestling with Johners for a future podcast, maybe talking about another NXT Takeover show in the future. So thank you very much for coming on the pod with us this afternoon, Matt.
Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure, John. Thanks very much.
Yep, thank you. So there you have it. That was our NXT Takeover New York review, myself and Matt Bayliss. And it was an excellent show. I'm definitely going to go back and watch it again this afternoon. Some fantastic matches. The brutality in that Pete Dunne and Walter match was off the charts. The opening match with the Raw Raiders versus Ricochet and Aleister Black was excellent as well. I really enjoyed the four-way between the Shayna Baszler, Kairi Sane, Io Shirai and Bianca Belair for the Women's Championship there. I thought that was an excellent match. Every match was fantastic. Velveteen Dream versus Matt Riddle. The main events, 2 out of 3 falls match with Johnny Gargano and Adam Cole. A really deserving winner, an excellent outcome, an amazing third fall, and a really good ending to the show with Tommaso Ciampa coming out onto the stage at the end there to embrace Johnny Gargano. And we know that he's going to be out of action for a long time, but a really kind of good way to close out this edition of NXT Takeover New York. So that I hope you've enjoyed this episode. It's a really fun episode. Thank you again to Matt Bayliss for joining me on this podcast. It's always a pleasure to have Matt on board. If you did like this episode, please don't forget to kind of share and to shout about this episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Tell your friends, tell your family, and keep listening to Wrestling with Johners for all of your weekly NXT UK, NXT, WWE, and Progress Wrestling updates. You can listen to Wrestling with Johners on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcast, Podbean, YouTube, Podcast Addict, Anchor, or pretty much wherever you get your podcasts. We are on all major podcast platforms. If you have any questions, you can get in touch with the show. Just simply email withjohners@gmail.com. You can get in touch with us via our Twitter page @withjohners_pod. You can visit our YouTube page. Of course, we've got a channel up there, especially for this podcast. And there's also some videos from my time over in New Orleans last year for my WrestleMania 34 experience. you can reach out to us on Instagram. We've got an active Instagram page, instagram.com/wrestlingwithjohners. But the page that I'm really trying to get out there and really trying to promote and get more people involved with is our Facebook page. Go onto Facebook, search Wrestling with Johners. That's JOHNERS, Wrestling with Johners. Ask to be part of that group and get involved with kind of all of the fun articles, news, reviews, banter. And all the kind of the fun and kind of good interactive bunch on the Facebook page there, so definitely be a part of that. We're trying to grow that group. So I'll be back in a few days time. Monday we'll be putting out our WrestleMania review episode, and that will be with Half Decent and Heather Padbury, and maybe one or two other guest hosts might be able to drop on and help out with that episode. But that's going to go up on Monday afternoon, so look out for that. And then I'll be back later on in the week with our special review of the G1 Supercard. And then a few days after that, we'll be back to normal, covering NXT and NXT UK. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Thank you very much for listening. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and shout about this podcast. Don't forget to hit us up on social media and get in touch with us on our Twitter, on our Instagram, and on our Facebook group. But in the meantime, that's pretty much everything. Enjoy WrestleMania, all 7 hours of it, or however long it's going to go on for, all 16 or 17 matches. But it's going to be a hell of a show. Some really good matches there. Really looking forward to the triple threat main event featuring Becky Lynch, Ronda Rousey, and Charlotte Flair. Really looking forward to Daniel Bryan and Kofi Kingston, and many of the other matches. So it's going to be one hell of a show. But this has been episode 35 of Wrestling with Johners, covering NXT Takeover New York. And until next time, take care and catch up with you all again soon.